What is poppin', Grizzly Crew? It's your boy Grizzly Kuma. And today in this video, I got a little review for y'all. We're gonna be taking a look at Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. This is a game that I honestly just started playing, and I was like, and I ended up finishing it, and I was like, let me go ahead and do a review on it. I think because I feel like it got received well, but I feel like as many people don't know about it as they should, if that makes sense. I feel like it's kind of a hidden gem because I know critics loved it, but it's so decent, especially for a non-AAA game. But I want to just give it a little bit more shine, and introduce it to some new gamers, that might enjoy it. All right, so Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. It's a turn-based tactical role-playing game. I know that sound real daunting. A lot of people get kind of turned off by tactical. You put tactical and turn-based, they be like, oh, hold on, I don't know. They think it's boring, or it's just required. It's not as action-filled as other games, but trust me, you gotta stop being afraid of that genre, because there's a lot of great games in there. And it's developed by a Swedish studio called The Bearded Ladies. First of all, S tier name. Y'all gotta see the logo. I might put it up. It should be on the video because the logo is fire, and it's published by Funcom. And it's based on the tabletop role-playing game, pretty much of the same name. It's called Mutant Year Zero, just without the Eden, Road to Eden. It was released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and on December 2018. And the Nintendo Switch version came out about a little bit under a year later, on July 30th, 2019. And it was a DLC called The Seed of Evil that released the same day as the Switch release. And it was a story expansion. It added a decent amount of additional story content. It added a new team member, my boy Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about him in the gameplay section along with the other characters. And now I'll talk about, more about the base plot of the DLC in the story section. Now, speaking of the story section, that's what's next. So let's start by setting up the world and the base plot. After outbreak of a deadly red plague and global nuclear war, I don't know what it is about these post-apocalyptic games, but they just be getting hit with that 1-2 punch. Usually it's like either a plague or a nuclear war. They like, we're gonna hit you with both of them. But so after that, as you can probably think, a lot of humans probably didn't make it through that. And you're right, humans basically have become largely extinct, with a few survivors, becoming mutants, having been affected by radiation. And then we have the character, the Elder. The Elder is the only person with the knowledge of the past, and he resides in the Ark, basically our home base of the game. And it's basically a fortified settlement that serves as the last bastion of civilization, with severe resource shortages, as almost every last bastion in every game or story usually is. They have resource shortages. So with those resource shortages, they send out these special mutants called stalkers. They go out, scavenge for resources, find different equipment and stuff like that, and food to bring back to the Ark. And they do that by going through the wasteland. And in this game, the wasteland is called the Zone. But the Zone isn't just your average wasteland, and there are some human survivors left. They call ghouls, but they're not like the Fallout ghouls. They basically just think of like raiders. If you want to compare it to Fallout, think about like raiders, like that type of aesthetic. They basically human survivors that are driven, violent, and insane from as you can see, like radiation pretty much, and just the bombings, the aftermath of the bombings and stuff like that. They worship the old world civilization as the ancients. Basically, they look at them as gods or deities, kind of like most crazy radiation sick people do. They find some of the weirdest stuff to attach to, just to kind of give them something to believe in. Now let's talk about the DLC, See the Evil. And it's a good size DLC. Like it really added a good amount of playtime. I say you can at least get an additional 3 to 4 hours of playtime from the DLC. A little bit longer if you take your time. The base plot of the See the Evil is basically these scary and strong roots basically take over the art, because the art is basically a big ass tree house. And these evil roots that don't nobody can't know where they came from just start spreading and taking over the art, and they have some psychological effects on the residents of the art, kind of turning them kind of crazy. So like you would expect, that is a big problem for your basically your home base in the last bastion of civilization. The DLC adds a huge new map that is pretty substantial. It's because the game is basically broken up into sections. Like it's I wouldn't say it's completely open world. It's probably, I guess the term would be overworld, like hub open world is a good way to describe it. And it basically adds a huge new map that have new enemies, and you get improved mutations, you get access to new gear, and you basically go out there, you try to defeat the new foes, and they aren't no pushovers. I'm not even gonna lie. I definitely recommend you finish the base game before doing the DLC, or you will get mollywopped. Like, they will hand your ass to you and send you back to the art with your tail between your legs, because they have a lot of different new abilities that you aren't really used to dealing with other characters in the base game. But it's up to you. If you just like that, you think you cold, go ahead, do your thing. Go ahead. You wanna be a masochist, you can do it. And you'll basically confuse yourself too if you play it first, because you won't know who these characters are, or I'm talking about the base characters. You won't know who they are, what's their stories or anything. So keep that in mind when you decide if you want to play it first or not. Next up, we got the settings. The settings are pretty bare bones, unfortunately. It's just your basic audio, video, graphics, gameplay, the usual suspects. And there aren't any additional accessibility settings besides key remapping and being able to use a controller, which I really hate to see, because I'm big on accessibility. I want as many people to enjoy games as possible. So I love when games include different type of accessibility settings. And to keep in mind, this game did release in 2018, so accessibility settings wasn't really a big focal point of gaming at that time. Like, now a lot of new games come out and they have all different types of unique accessibility options and stuff like that. But in 2018, and it's crazy, like that was a while ago now, almost 5 years ago. That's crazy, time flying. But back then that wasn't really a big thing, so I understand that. I'm not holding it against the game. All right, moving on to the difficulty. There's 3 difficulty settings. You got normal, which is basically easy in this game. So normal is the easiest difficulty you can select in the game. On normal, enemies do less damage, your health regenerates after combat, and your skill cooldowns reset after combat. This is the new setting, basically. I recommend this, for the new players that are new to, tactical strategy turn-based games. So, if this is your first one, I would say just play on normal, until you get up to that, you get comfortable with the mechanics of the game. Next, we got hard. Hard is more like medium. Enemies do a little bit more damage. Your health only regenerates 50% out of combat, and your skill cooldowns do not reset after combat. So, you gotta put a little bit more thought into how you move. You can't just be going in gun blazing, shooting everything like, hey, I just gotta get through this battle and I'm gonna get my health back, because it don't work like that. So you gotta put a little bit more, strategy into it. So this is recommended for, the experienced players that might have a couple strategy turn-based games under their belt. And now moving on to the last difficulty, we got very hard. I ain't gonna lie, very hard is not the hardest difficulty. Like, I feel like for most experienced players, it's not that over the top, but it do got some moments where it hits you in the mouth. You got to man up or woman up, because they will humble you real quick if you get overconfident. In this setting, on this difficulty, your health does not regenerate after combat. Your the skill cooldowns do not reset after combat. So basically, however you finish combat is how you're gonna start combat in the next encounter if you don't heal or anything like that. And the developers say this is the intended experience, and I agree. It, like I said earlier, it do take some getting used to it, and they do hit you in the mouth. But by the end, it is the most fun and rewarding difficulty. I would recommend playing through it on normal or hard first, and then doing a very hard playthrough. And I feel like that's where the game really shines. Now for my people that love Dark Souls and just love putting yourself to pain. Y'all love pain. I don't know why, but y'all love it. You have a Iron Mutant set, which is the Iron Man set in this game. And it's optional. You can equip it with any difficulty, so you could do it on normal, hard, or very hard. But basically, it turns on permadeath. It turns off manual saving. So after every battle, it auto saves. So if you lose a character in that battle, hey, you lost that. It gone. You can't go back and you can't reload and try to, get some more RNG. Get RNG in your favor. That ain't gonna work. You gotta stick with your decisions. So if you feel like you cold, like you the man or the woman, you think you can put that work in, you can add that to your game, to your playthrough, and get a little extra challenge to it. All right, now you also have the option to skip straight to the Seat of Evil with preset characters, and you can do it, like, because I know people may be coming back to this game and they might just be like, I want to play the expansion. That's understandable. So if you don't feel like playing through the story again, you can just skip. It's an option in the sense to just skip right to it, and they'll give you basically appropriate level, like pre-made characters and stuff, so you can just go ahead and start the DLC that way. Now moving on to graphics. The graphics are good, especially for a non-AAA game. I know with these AA indie games, I really don't be expecting that much from the graphical standpoint, because I understand budgets and just smaller studios and stuff like that. But I was surprised the graphics, like I said earlier, often take a back seat when it comes to these type of games, especially if it's an isometric tactical game. More so gameplay usually be the priority, which in these type of games it should, and they definitely do make gameplay a priority in this game. But the graphics definitely, I could tell they put some time into them. And it's not a graphical masterpiece, but it's definitely more than serviceable. They put a lot of time and resources into it, especially into the world and character design, because I'm a person that feel like even if you don't have the best graphics, if you have good world design and character design, it can kind of uplift your graphics, give it more a stylized feeling. And I feel like that's what this game has. It's definitely what it has to work with. It does well. Cause I love gameplay, but I like to look at some pretty stuff. I want my game to be pretty. I want it to be smart and pretty. Gotta be well rounded. The performance side was excellent. I didn't experience any crashes or major frame drops, and I must tell you, it's refreshing. Because nowadays, games come out broke from the jump, and it's crazy to see that game from 5 years really be outperforming as far as just the performance side, just be outperforming these games that just came out on the using bigger teams, more advanced in technology, and a game from 5 years ago is outperforming it. Just plug and play. That's what I love to see. Next up, we got gameplay. Now, gameplay is a mix of exploring, looking for a different strap, and that strap is basically the game currency, and different equipment and guns that improve your squad output and survivability, so you can keep handing out some ass whoopings and not get your ass whooped. That's the important thing. That's the name of the game. Now, on the other side of that, you have the combat. Combat is turn-based. It's similar to XCOM if y'all are familiar with XCOM. If not, definitely check it out. It's a great series. It's often on sale. Great. It's great. For those that are not familiar with that type of system though, it basically works like this. Each character has a set number of action points per turn, and with those action points you can shoot, move, heal, or use an ability. And once all your action points are gone for each character in your squad, it's the enemy turn to basically do the same. Now, in the game, you control 3 characters at one time, so they use a 3 main character party system. The rest of your characters are basically in reserve, and you can switch between them freely as long as you're not in combat. Now, your starting 3 characters are Ducks. He a duck hybrid. He basically Howard Duck with a sniper rifle, or initially with a crossbow. He's definitely one of the better characters in my opinion. He pretty much stayed in my party the whole game because he just is basically your sniper. He can take out a lot of enemies and do chip damage from far away. So he's definitely a favorite of mine. I think he'll definitely contribute to your party probably the most out of all of them. Next up, we got my boy Borman. He a warthog hybrid. Think of Porky Pig or Puma that has seen some dark shit. They might need to go to therapy to, talk it out. But they put a mask on, try to make themselves seem hard. That's basically Porman. I like him though. He kind of like the de facto leader of the group. And then we have Selma. Selma is a human hybrid. She basically is the emo girl of the group that she good at sneaking around, dealing decent damage, and she like blowing shit up. She like blowing shit up. She got her abilities are more geared toward explosives. So she's a good character, especially if you're going up against highly fortified enemies. Next up, we have Magnus. Now Magnus, I'm gonna be totally honest with y'all. Magnus I'll probably only use Magnus in like 3 fights because he has some great abilities, some great area of effect abilities. But as far as his character goes, he's just kind of vanilla. He's basically your basic soldier character, but he does have some mind control, like kind of like psychic abilities. So think of Rambo and Professor X had a baby. That's Magnus. Now up to one of my favorite characters, we have Pharaoh. You get her a little bit later on in the game. Not too deep into the story, but it's a little bit before mid game. She's a fox hybrid. She's basically a British fox with an eye patch. So that kind of had me sold right there. I'm not a fairy. # not fairy. But she basically one of my favorite characters. She got a good little spice to her. She got a lot of good quips. Last but not least, only if you have the DLC though, is my boy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a moose hybrid, and he's basically Bullwinkle body with the swag and shaft. My boy, he got that swag, bro. My boy sound like a cool black uncle. So he's one of my favorite characters. Like once I got to the DLC, he was in my party the whole time. Never got switched out. He kind of like a tank, a deep. I guess the best way to put it, he kind of like a damaging tank. He can take a lot of damage and he can deal it out. So yeah, he's besides having a cool personality, he also is just has a good overall kit. Now, each character has their own skill tree, but there are some skills that overlap into multiple characters. So when you building your character, you definitely want to try to diversify them as much as possible from each other, because you don't want to have a whole squad with the same abilities. That's kind of defeat the purpose of having a squad. If you got a squad, you want everybody to boost up, make up for each other's weaknesses and stuff. Now, the good thing is every character, whether they're in your active party or in your reserves, gain the same amount of XP for the encounter. So you don't have to worry about swapping everybody in and out to make sure everybody get equal time or equal XP. You can not, like for me example, like with Madness, he was on the bench a lot, but when I was ready to use him, I just had to pop him out. He was our level, pick his skills, and he was basically at the same level as everybody else. He was at the same level as everybody else. So that's good. I wish more games would use this, because it just helps save time. Because I love long games, but at the same time, I like games that respect my time. Like, don't have it be like, don't just be adding stuff just to make your game artificially longer. And I like them, respecting my time and using this level up method. Now we have the Stalker Trials. The Stalker Trials are basically a side mode to where it doesn't affect story mode. You don't have to play story mode first or anything, and nothing carries over from either mode to each other. And it's basically a challenge mode. You get access to all the characters max level with mutations and skills unlocked, but you have to buy your upgrades and weapons and armors before you start the mission. Your progress will be noted down on an in-game leaderboard, and if you're the top the top stalker, I should say, you get an NPC named after you, and other players get to try to take it down in the game mode. It's the bartender from the main game, Prip, is in the game mode. He rewards you extra points if you clear a map in a certain way. Like, let's say you're doing a map and it say clear the map without any of your characters dying, you'll get some extra points. Or clear this map without using explosives, and he'll give you extra points. And it's a pretty decent game mode. I didn't really play it that much because I really kind of got my feel from the main campaign and DLC. But if you're a person that just love the gameplay, I can see you spending hours in this game mode just trying to get some bragging rights. Now, moving on to my conclusion, Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden is a game that I was really pleasantly surprised by, and it hits way above its weight class. Like, I would take this game over a lot of AAA games in the same genre, because this game's gameplay and story is really top tier. It's well crafted, it's polished, and it's definitely Grizzly approved. Like, get this game soon as you can find it on sale. I think regular price is like $35, so it's not even that expensive now. But you know me, I'm cheap. I love saving money, and I want y'all to save money. So if you can get this game on sale, get it. Usually it'd be on sale for at least $15 or less. So it's a real gem, and I think y'all should get it. It's definitely worth it in 2023. But that's been this review. I'm your boy Grizzly Kuma. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I got a lot more reviews coming for y'all. You know, this probably like my third review. I'm trying to, you know, your boy actually wrote the script this time. You know, trying to step my game up, increase the content for y'all. So I'll catch y'all in the next one. Y'all have a great day.